Vergil Ortiz has an interim WBC title, so he might have to fight Sebastian Fundora first. So we don't even know if Xander Zayas is going to fight both these dudes, but he's asked about Vergil Ortiz here.
I hope that all those big fights happen. There's no more running from me. I'm a world champion. I have what they want.
Now here he's asked about Sebastian Fundora. Sebastian Fundora, remember, had the WBC and the WBO championship, vacated the WBO to pursue a rematch with Tim Tszyu, so defended his WBC championship and was asked about this, potentially getting his title back, and he says he wants to get his title back. And Xander Zayas has a response for Sebastian Fundora.
He shouldn't have lost it in the first place. He shouldn't have left it vacant in the first place. That's all I have to say.
I mean, fair. Like, if Xander Zayas is as scared as people think, why are you vacating your title? Sebastian Fundora could have fought him. Xander Zayas was the mandatory. Xander Zayas was the #1 contender for the title. The whole reason why he's fighting Jorge Garcia, or would have fought likely Charles Conwell if Charles Conwell beat Jorge Garcia, is because Sebastian Fundora gave up the title. Here, Xander Zayas is asked what I thought was a good question about fighting in Puerto Rico now that he's a world champion there. And I thought he had a really good answer to this for people who understand Spanish, which I understand a little bit. It's a work in progress.
Mira, pues sinceramente Bob Arum me acaba de decir que mi primera defensa será en Puerto Rico. Obviamente, ahora hay que esperar que eso se haga realidad. Siempre le he dicho, quiero pelear en Puerto Rico, quiero pelear en la isla, soy campeón del mundo. Espero que se me dé esa primera defensa en la Isla del Encanto. Y a toda mi gente boricua, siempre me han apoyado, siempre me han dado el cariño desde el día 1 y estoy súper agradecido con todos ellos.
And a follow-up question came, who would you like to fight next? Whoever is basically the answer.
Whoever. I heard Bakhram is looking for an opponent. Sebastian Fundora, I heard want his belt back. So anybody in the division can get it now. And it's like I told you, there's no running now. I'm a world champion and I have what they want.
And just real quick, because he says there's no running now. Not that people are taking it this way necessarily, but I'll clarify. I think what he means is there's no running from me. Not that he was running or top ranked, because I think people who want to come at him because he's become polarizing for whatever reason, I think they might take that and be like, oh, he was running before. But no, I think he means there's no running from me because I'm a champion now. And when you're a title holder in this sport, people will want to fight you because now you have a championship. There's a money potential there. And I think Xander Zayas is also, he's legitimately a draw. He's more of a draw than Bakhram Murtazaliev. You know what I mean? Like, he just is in the division. He's a draw. He's a draw because you can put him in Puerto Rico or Florida or New York or even a place like Chicago because that's where he's going to draw a lot of support. But that's more than you could say than a lot of other guys in this sport, including several champions, many champions, in fact. And now he's asked here about Vergil Ortiz specifically, which it's funny that Sebastian Fundora had an opportunity to fight Xander Zayas because Xander Zayas was, rising up through the WBO ranks, and Sebastian Fundora could have just defended the title against Xander Zayas, but he gave it up. And now people think Xander Zayas doesn't want it with Sebastian Fundora. Vergil Ortiz had an opportunity to fight Xander Zayas this year too. And then Vergil Ortiz pursued a different fight, which justifiably so. It's like Xander Zayas was a bigger risk opponent from the standpoint of him not being as proven as Vergil Ortiz's opponent at the time. So the direction Vergil Ortiz goes is, if he's chasing a Terence Crawford fight, this makes a lot of sense, but he's fighting Israel Madrimov instead of Xander Zayas. And at the time, Madrimov is coming off a fight against Terence Crawford where he was more competitive with Terence Crawford than we've seen anyone be competitive with Terence Crawford in years, many years. Why fight Xander Zayas instead? Well, Xander Zayas is a riskier opponent from the standpoint of if you lose, then that looks worse for Vergil Ortiz than it does losing to a guy who went to distance with and was competitive with Terence Crawford and Israel Madrimov. Not to say that Xander Zayas would definitively beat Israel Madrimov or even Vergil Ortiz for that matter. But it was a smart business decision for Vergil Ortiz, and the Xander Zayas fight, truthfully, will be bigger down the line. Down the line might be now because Xander Zayas actually has a title. Vergil Ortiz has an interim WBC title, so he might have to fight Sebastian Fundora first. So we don't even know if Xander Zayas is going to fight both these dudes, but he's asked about Vergil Ortiz here.
I hope that all those big fights happen. There's no more running from me. I'm a world champion. I have what they want.
We'll see what happens with the rankings here. This needs to update. They'll probably update maybe sometime this week, depending on when the WBO is going to do it. But as you can see here, Xander Zayas has the WBO title in terms of who could he fight next. And shout out to Boxing Scene for always having these at the ready. Number 1 spot is vacant. It was him. Jorge Garcia was number 2. He'll inevitably move down. And Boots Ennis is ranked now number 4. I think what probably happens is either you have an eliminator to determine the number 1 spot. Like, there's a few things that could happen here. One, you could have an eliminator to determine the number 1 spot. If you have like Garcia moves down, Josh Kelly and Boots Ennis move up to 2 and 3. Erickson Lubin is number 5, but he has an ordered IBF championship out with Bakhram Murtazaliev. So we'll see if that ends up getting made. But there's a world where Xander Zayas could take like a voluntary title defense, while let's say Josh Kelly and Boots Ennis fight for the number 1 spot, or Boots Ennis could potentially chase like the Vergil Ortiz fight. Maybe he just fights him for the interim title, since that's been a fight that's been rumored before. I don't know what Boots Ennis's first title fight, or fight rather, is going to be at 154, but presumably he can get into the title picture very quickly, and he should. He's pound for pound level talented. We just have to see it against good competition. I think his win against Eimantas Stanionis was great. Stanionis, I think, is legitimate. He also fought twice in the 3 years leading up to that, and people were annoyed with Boots Ennis and his multiple performances against Karen Chukadazan, in which he kind of struggled with the footwork, which makes me think, while Boots, he'll destroy Xander Zayas and whatever. And it's like, Xander Zayas is 22. He's got more room to grow and improve than all these other dudes. And if Karen Chukadazan's footwork was pissing off Boots Ennis and making him look less than the future pound for pound superstar we think he can be, what's Xander Zayas potentially going to do? Like, I think that fight's a little bit more competitive than maybe given credit for. I don't know. Do people still see him as an up-and-comer? Because he's 28. Sebastian Fundora is 27. Vergil Ortiz is 27. Bakhram Murtazaliev is in his early 30s. Xander Zayas is 22. If I'm Xander, I'm not running into fighting these dudes necessarily, but I also think from a matchmaking standpoint, Bakhram Murtazaliev, Sebastian Fundora, Vergil Ortiz all have power in this division, and that's the thing that Xander Zayas lacks. And I don't think he has the one punch. Like, he's not Miguel Cotto, he's not Felix Trinidad. That's why I don't compare him to those dudes. He's different. He's an all-around skilled, highly skilled boxer who's getting better, who may grow more into his power as he ages, and honestly is probably going to be a middleweight at some point, and maybe he has more power there. Terrence Crawford got more powerful as he moved up in weight. It doesn't happen for all guys that way. It didn't happen for Teofimo Lopez that way. He does not have the power at 140 that he has at 135, and he'll have even less at 147. It appears everybody's different. But Xander Zayas is a better all-around boxer than Bakhram Murtazaliev, than Vergil Ortiz, than Sebastian Fundora. But what they all do better is they pressure fight. They have more power. They're better on the inside, or more comfortable on the inside, but they could all get hit. Especially Vergil Ortiz, we've seen him drop multiple times. Sebastian Fundora, we've seen him get straight up knocked out, and we've seen him drop multiple times as well. I don't see what other people are seeing, where they're saying, hey, Xander Zayas can't be competitive against these dudes, or they're just going to walk right through him. I don't see that at all. I do not see that at all. I think it's way more competitive than that. I wouldn't think he's the betting favorite against maybe any of those dudes, but I think he's talented enough to outbox them over the course of a 12-round fight. It's just whether or not he can stand up to those punches, because he can be hit, but he hasn't been hit like that. I just don't think 154, wow, it's scary, it's daunting, but I don't think Xander Zayas is fucked against any of these dudes. Like, he has a chance against all of these dudes. I also don't think, though, that any of these fights get made like tomorrow. Xander Zayas talked about potentially coming back in December. Like, I'd be stunned if one of those guys, like, it would immediately be the case. It'll probably be like Josh Kelly or something like that. Josh Kelly's been ranked by the WBO highly for a while. There's a ton of options there, and I don't think Top Rank is going to rush him into Murtazaliev or Vergil Ortiz or Sebastian Fundora. I just don't see that. Or Boots Ennis. Erickson Lubin, if he beats Murtazaliev, like I don't think they're going to rush him into any of those things. But a few things are clear. One, he can be the face of Puerto Rican boxing. He's not yet, but he can be. He hugged Amanda Serrano after the fight. I won't call it a torch passing, but hey, a lot of people gave Puerto Rican shit for the way July was going, but Subriel Matias and Xander Zayas became world champions, and now Puerto Rico has several world champions. Several. Amanda Serrano, Xander Zayas, Subriel Matias, Oscar Collazo, Antonio Vargas, Rene Santiago. You can count Shakur Stevenson as well. He counts. His dad's Puerto Rican. Puerto Rican boxing is in a good place in 2025. It's been a stronger last couple of years than it was in the earlier 2020s. As far as Xander Zayas matching up with some of the top guys in his weight class, you know, I know people are gonna, like, he's become polarizing and people are always going to expect more. But at the end of the day, he is, I think, the most skilled all-around boxer in the 154-pound weight class. What he isn't is a finisher to the level of Bakhram Murtazaliev or Vergil Ortiz or Sebastian Fundora. But all those guys can get hit, and Xander Zayas could hit all those dudes. But when they hit back, can Xander Zayas take those punches? Like, that's really what this is about. And if he could outbox some dudes for 12 rounds, then he'll be in good shape moving forward. He's also 22 with the most room to grow. He'll be 23 in September. The next time we see him in a ring, he'll be 23. Vergil Ortiz, we'll see what his next move is going to be. He's still the WBC interim champion, so he should probably fight Sebastian Fundora to get the full title. And maybe we could talk about a unification between one of them and Xander Zayas. And then for the IBF, you have Bakhram Murtazaliev, who's going to fight Erickson Lubin, it looks like, in his next fight. And as far as the WBA goes, well, the WBA is held by Terence Crawford for the time being. Yoenis Tellez is the interim champion. He's actually going to defend that title against Abbas Baru. But if Tellez is the champion there, like, I could see Xander Zayas unifying with him potentially. But a lot of talent at 154. 154 is way better right now than 147 and 160, like, combined. Seriously. 154 is one of the best divisions in boxing right now. I think some of the lighter weight classes could have a claim for the best, but this weight class is awesome. There's a lot of legitimately really good fighters here. Callum Walsh, who I mentioned earlier, is going to be interesting. A name to watch moving forward. Boots Ennis is in the weight class now. Josh Kelly. By the way, I think Jorge Garcia and Charles Conwell are still very good, even though they both have losses from this year. Jesus Ramos is an overlooked name in this division, and honestly, probably should have beaten Erickson Lubin when they fought not too long ago. But Jesus Ramos is a name that's worth monitoring here. And Keith Thurman, who came back against Brock Jarvis not that long ago. We don't know what his next move is going to be. Keith Thurman is all of a sudden a name that would be a lot of fun. I think if I'm Xander Zayas, I might give Keith Thurman a look, see where I'm at 23, and then, you know, maybe try for one of the big dogs or something like that. But Xander Zayas is a champion. I always thought this day would be here, and he did it more convincingly than I thought he would against a really game opponent who's never been stopped before. Not sure he's even been dropped before. But Jorge Garcia Perez is tough. We'll see him again, and we should. And just other stuff on the card real quick. Bruce Shushu Carrington, electrifying performance in the beginning, and the crowd was out of it midway through till late. Bruce Carrington won convincingly. His opponent just wasn't it. Probably shouldn't have gotten the interim title shot, but Bruce Carrington has the interim championship now. He has a claim at featherweight to fight Stephen Fulton, who's the champion, but he called out Rafael Espinoza for a fight in September, which that's not going to happen. They're not going to fight in 2 months. But Bruce Carrington versus Rafael Espinoza, okay, that's a tough one. I don't think Bruce Carrington will be the betting favorite for that, but I think he's good enough to win that fight. But Espinoza, to me, is the scariest dude at 126 right now. The scariest. But we've seen him drop by Robeisy Ramirez before, so who knows? Away from that, Emiliano Vargas, let's get him to step up in competition now. Beautiful pull counter, one-punch knockout. The slightest pull that you'd need in a pull counter. 42 seconds, out of there. One punch superstar stuff. Ron Polanco, I thought also looked good. And Juan Mita de Jesus, one of the underrated performances of the night, got his opponent out of there quickly. I also recorded his entrance and he threw his glove up for me, so I appreciate that. But Juan Mita looks like he's going to be pretty good as well. I'm excited about his progress. But Puerto Rican boxing is in a good place. Xander Zayas got his world title, and we'll be talking about more on this channel very soon. Thank you for watching. And if you want more of this stuff, let me know. I'm planning on doing more with the channel, and we're going to diversify the content a little bit in August because it's going to be a shitty month for sports, honestly. But we have international basketball to watch and maybe some boxing as well, and some baseball also. We have a trade deadline show this week that is going to be fun. It's going to be a live stream, and I want to do more live streams on this channel, not just on my other channel, the mandatory channel. So thank you for watching, and we'll talk again very soon.